Cheers. I was having some issues. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I don't know what just happened there. Hold on. Got off on something else there. I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, cheers. How you doing, Cruz? How the heck are you? That's been that kind of evening anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It went to something else. I'm not sure what's going on. There we go. Anyway, how you do, Buckaroos? How the heck are you? So, originally I was supposed to do a show with the one and only Jersey Johnny. It was a cocktail show, and I didn't realize at the time that we set it up or planned on doing it that it's actually National Cocktail Day. So he had sent me a message a while back that he was stuck in traffic and wasn't sure when he'd be able to get on. I postponed it for a little over an hour. Decided I'd go ahead and pop on. Anyway, about 8:30, I sent him the link and told him to pop on when he can. But anyway, a long story short, or not quite as long, I guess, because I've already talked for a little bit, is that I already, I thought for a second about just canceling it. But then I realized, well, then I didn't realize, I found out, I didn't realize at the time that we set up this National Cocktail Day. So when I found out it was National Cocktail Day, I couldn't go back then. I mean, I already had my cocktails prepped and ready to go. They had to be drank anyway, whether I'm going on camera or not. So I figured, what the hell? So this first cocktail is actually inspired by Jersey Johnny, and hopefully he'll be able to pop on at some point. But he sent me a recipe a little over a year ago, I suppose, for a maple for a maple old fashioned. I've kind of turned it into a maple Manhattan, mostly because I'm serving it straight up as you would a Manhattan. Otherwise, it's basically the same thing. Using 3 ounces of the Whistle Pig Piggyback 6-year-old rye, and just about an ounce of the Whistle Pig maple syrup, barrel aged maple syrup, I should add. Let me show you that one. And black walnut bitters, a few dashes of black walnut bitters. So it is served straight up, which means I've chilled the cocktail very well, but I'm not serving with any ice. So you typically an old fashioned is served on the rocks. And I'm not a big rocks guy, so I'm serving it more at like it was a Manhattan. 3 ounces of piggyback, 1 ounce of the syrup, and a few dashes of some black walnut bitters to really add to the aromatics with a dark cherry garnish. Using this nice little fancy glass that my wife picked up at a little thrift store in the Joplin area. Let me show you this glass. It's got that nice little star up front. Cute little glass. I like it. Perfect for a Manhattan. I thought about saving this one and holding it back, but I've made the three to go in a particular order, so I figured, we'll go ahead and do this one first. I was going to save this one in case Johnny's able to pop on at some point, but anyways, I digress. Nope, haven't heard from him yet. If anybody watching wants to pop on and have a cocktail with me, I'll send the link to you. Just let me know. Otherwise, like I said, I prepped 3 cocktails, and I could have canceled the video, but I still would have had to drink 3 cocktails because they're ready to go. And like I said, I didn't realize until I was looking up other things that it was National Cocktail Day. I had no idea. So once I found out it was National Cocktail Day, it became a moral imperative. I had to go ahead and do the video, man. With Jersey Johnny or not, the show must go on, man. Anyway, I'm nothing if not a professional. Anyways, you see, I couldn't even say that with a straight face. I couldn't even say it, man. anyways, I digress. That's delicious. Yeah, it's very delicious. I do like this glass though. You go out to the nicer places and they'll serve a Manhattan in a glass like this. It's very nice. But they only had one. And my thing is, we buy a lot of glasses, and I tend to use them, but some tend to break. Some I've had for several years and never get broke. Some I've had for a few days and they get broke. The truth is, shit happens, and I could put them all. The thing is, the idea is you put them in a cabinet and they're safe, but We got this neighbor here that likes to bang on the walls, and I had some stuff I thought was safe in my cabinet here, and I lost a lot of good glassware that I put away because I thought it was safe. Because this jackass next door wants to bang on the walls 24/7. The bottom line is that glass isn't doing you any good in the case. If it gets broke, well, at least you got some use out of it. So that's kind of my philosophy at this point. Is it always bums me out when a glass gets broke, but it's not the end of the world. At least the glass. It's like the toys in Toy Story, right? Those toys aren't happy unless they're getting used. These glasses aren't happy in your cabinet. Get them out, use them. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're doing next door. I mean, you hear pounding on the walls at all kinds of, I mean, all times of the night. Sometimes weird smells come up wafting through the vents. I mean, I don't know what the fuck they're doing here. It might be like the house in the burbs. Hell, I don't know. There's some shit going on, man. But yeah, there was, I don't know what they were doing. I think it might have been doing some remodeling, but they were pounded on the wall, and all of a sudden the shelf goes down, and I lost a lot of glassware that my mom had passed down, that stuff that I just can't replace. And I was really upset about that. But there's nothing you can do about it. I come to the conclusion that, hey man, the glasses can get broke on my cabinet, and I can drop them, or they can broke just sitting in the case where you thought they were safe. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, this drink is gorgeous, man. Yeah, like I said, Jersey Johnny sent me the recipe. Uh, the ingredients, I've kind of made my own. He didn't say specifically the piggyback rye or he just basically said, the whiskey and a maple syrup. But me being who I am, I took it, man. Yeah. So yeah, I finished up my original bottle of the whistle pig that I had. Lasted a little bit, well, that's a roll right about at a year, I guess. So I found this at a store, a little meat shop in town last weekend that was doing it was having a special 25% off everything in the store. So on its, the face value was this stuff is rather expensive, but for 25% off, yeah, I went ahead and bought another bottle because I really do enjoy it. I did use a good portion of it in cocktails, but I also did put a lot of it on pancakes and waffles because it's good, and you just need a little bit, right? You don't gotta throw it on there, like the log cabin, right? Or you just need a little bit because I mean this stuff is, I mean, it's actual maple syrup, it's actual barrel aged maple syrup. So, anyways, say it with me. I digress, man. But I digress, baby. I digress. Anyway, so I did prep three. So he thought it'd initially be ready about 7:15. So about 7 o'clock, I started getting my cocktails ready, and I had them ready. Oh, at about, I don't know, 5 or 10 after, and I sent him a message. And it was a few minutes after that when he said, it was about 10 minutes after that he sent a message. I was stuck in traffic. Okay. And I waited and waited, and he sent me a message about 7:48. So I haven't moved for 25 minutes. So I changed the start time to 8:30. Then I sent him a message just before I came on the air. I sent him the link. I said I'm going on the air at 8:30. Hopefully you can come on at some point. But yeah, so I came up with three cocktails. Right, it's all kind of a variation on a theme. Right. Well, the template for all three cocktails is a Manhattan. All three cocktails I've got served straight up, but then I've kind of changed a few ingredients. The second cocktail coming up here, I'm using this Ben Holiday Missouri Straight Bourbon Whiskey bottled in bond, which means it's 100 proof, uh, out of Weston, Missouri, just a little bit north of KC. So I'm used to this. So again, a variation on a theme, right? So I've used the Ben Holiday Missouri Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 3 ounces. So the sweetness that I've come up with for that particular cocktail was is kind of a sweet hot, is using this Mike's Hot Honey, which I also purchased at the same store I got that Whistle Pig, Mike's Hot Honey. So I use the Mike's Hot Honey as my sweetness. I mean, I didn't measure it, to be honest with you. Just do this. It was probably maybe a quarter to a half ounce, quarter to half a shot. And then I use some cherry bitters to add just to, again, a little bit of sweetness to that heat that the Mike's Hot Honey is bringing me. And the third cocktail, I'm spitballing a couple names. I've got one kind of working, but I'm not going to say it right now. Uh, I found this whiskey last weekend at Jugs Liquor in Joplin, Missouri. And the main reason I bought it is because I've never had a whiskey from this particular neck of the woods. And it's called District Made. And that, in fact, it's a grain to glass whiskey. I love grain to glass whiskeys. Uh, Direct made straight bourbon whiskey at 47.5%, which means it's 95 proof. Straight bourbon whiskey, the first and finest straight bourbon whiskey distilled and bottled in our nation's capital. So yeah, it's a DC whiskey. So that was one of the reasons I bought it. That and the fact that it's a grain to glass, and I like that. So and it wasn't it was priced very reasonable for the proof that it has. And I'd never seen it before, and that was kind of the main reason I bought it though, because I love to buy stuff I've never laid eyes on before. So anyway, so I've got 3 ounces of that whiskey, and to kind of change the game a little bit, I've used in place of the sweet vermouth or whatever, I've used the 1 ounce of the Mooney's chocolate cherry flavored whiskeys. Oh no, actually, that's wrong. I got my cocktails mixed up. Hold on, I'll straighten it out. So the second cocktail, yeah. So the second cocktail is the holidays, like I mentioned, the hot honey, but also use an ounce of the chocolate cherry. So there you go. The third cocktail. So the name I gave, or I'm working on the title, will make more sense once you tell you the ingredients again. The District Made. Okay, so I got this whiskey. So in place of the sweet vermouth or anything else, I've used the Keltoy Celtic Goddess, which is a port-like wine, and cherry bitters. So when I tell you the working title, that'll make more sense now. Anyways, I got confused, man. I was trying to keep things in order. Anyways, I digress. I did a video earlier today. The scheduled video that I did was with a local singer. She's been around for a while. She's awesome, Christy Meredith. That was a lot of fun. I was glad she agreed to do the show. I like when I get local musicians on. I had Barrack Hill a while back, and now Christy Meredith. There's a few others I'm kind of working on, and hopefully I can get them on at some point. We're getting our schedules to coincide, as it were. The way my schedule was, I had it planned for all of my videos to be done, 6 to 7 on Thursday nights. But my Thursdays are going to be taken up now, so I've either got to do it on Wednesday or Friday. I would prefer Friday. However, however is, yeah, I'm not going to be able to book any musicians or many musicians on a Friday because most have gigs Friday night. So I'm not sure which way I want to go, to be honest with you. Problem with doing it Wednesdays, well, the obvious issue is that I've got to go to work Thursday. Right? I got a long work day on Thursday, so but the drawback doing Friday is I can't book musicians. If I can figure something out to maybe do a recorded show earlier in the week, or maybe do an earlier time. But I don't know. I'm not sure how to figure it out yet, but I will get there. But anyways, it is National Cocktail. So again, for me, I love classic cocktails, right? My favorite is probably the Manhattan with the old fashioned, and during the spring and summer, the whiskey sour running a very close second, third, depending on my mood at any given time. I hadn't for a long time. I wasn't a fan of the old fashioned, especially when I've had them out because they were just too sweet. But I think that's why a lot of a certain generation likes the old fashioned because they are a sweet cocktail, but they are a whiskey forward cocktail. I do like the Manhattan. For me, the weakest part of the Manhattan is the sweet vermouth. I don't hate sweet vermouth, and the more you spend on a sweet vermouth, the better. But still, I prefer other things. So I've been over the course of the last year or so, I've been working. I've been making a Manhattan inspired cocktail using something in place of the sweet vermouth, if you will. So this particular cocktail, it's exactly the. I mean, uh, it's not exactly the same because I changed the proportions, but the ingredients are the same as the recipe Jersey Johnny sent me for his maple old fashioned. But I've got it served straight up and not on the rocks, so I'm going to call it a maple Manhattan because I'm using the piggyback. I'm using a rye, but I'm using a, a rye barrel aged maple syrup. So, but I do prefer a straight up drink. All three cocktails I've got this evening are straight up. I don't like ice in my cocktail. I really don't. It really bugs me. So, Tom, the drink's not going to stay cold without ice in it. Yeah, it's not going to stay cold a long time, but it's going to stay cold long enough. And I'm not going to, my drink isn't going to get watered down because ice is melting in my drink. So, here's the thing you should chill your glass, get your glass good and chilled. Now, what many bars will do is if they do the same thing with martini glasses, is they will put ice and they'll put ice water in them and let them get cold for maybe 2 or 3 minutes while they're getting everything else ready, which will chill it some. But what I do here is I actually put my glass in the freezer for a little bit. Then I can get my cocktail ready. Then in this particular case, while I was because I wasn't sure when we were going to be ready to go. I actually made my cocktails, put them in the glasses, and put the glasses with the cocktails in the freezer to get everything good and cold. But the truth is, if you're using good ingredients, you like to start with these cocktails very good and cold. You really do. But they're not going to get hard to drink as they warm up either. You've got good ingredients in here. Don't be afraid of that. Even as I've sat here over the last almost 20 minutes drinking this, it's not as cold as it was when I started, but it's still cold. And if I had put ice in this drink, I'd have ruined the drink. All the components would have been watered down, and that just doesn't work. As always, anybody watching, if you have any questions or comments, put it up on the screen. Anybody that wants to, it's National Cocktail Day. So, anybody watching, if you'd like to be part of the video, let me know. If you want to have a cocktail with me, let me know, and I will send you the link to your messenger. Anyway, Sláinte. Hopefully Jersey Johnny will be able to join us at some point, but I'm not I'm not holding my breath, man. He's stuck in Jersey traffic, so I just decided I'd go ahead and go live anyway at 8:30 and hopefully be able to jump on at some point. Uh, my wife and I, so I grew up Catholic, not necessarily a strict practicing Catholic, to be honest with you, but my wife grew up Lutheran. So when we started looking for churches, we kind of compromised at the Episcopal faith. They're like kinder, gentler Catholics, right? They're like Catholics but with morals, right? Anyways, I digress. Mercy. So during Lent, we still try to do the, no meat on Friday thing. And sometimes it gets difficult. We gave ourselves a mulligan last week because it was, Friday fell on St. Patrick's Day. So we cut ourselves some slack. But we tried to get back on track today. So we had a late breakfast. So we decided to just, well, I found these they're like miniature naan bread. So we had that with some salmon spread and some scrambled eggs. So we kept it meat free. And then for dinner, we found a bargain on some Dungeness crabs. So I just steamed it up to get it hot again. It was already steamed. You just want to kind of slowly heat it up. Had some good Irish butter, so I melted it and then I strained it to kind of clarify it, right? So there's nothing better than Irish butter. Oh my goodness, Irish butter is so amazing. I actually use Irish butter in our scrambled eggs too, and just kind of fluff those suckers up like nobody's business. Anyways, yeah, Irish butter, crab. We're with you, Tom. The number, but I made some just some homemade tapenade with the naan, and that was very nice too as well. Love an olive tapenade. Mm-mm. I wouldn't say I'm a food snob per se. However, I will say that I uh, I do like everything I make better than what I can find somewhere else, right? So if I have a tapenade, I don't want to buy a store bought. I want to make my own because nobody's going to make it quite the way I like it. And the fact is, a lot of store brands will tend to use or anything prepackaged is going to use a high sodium content, and I don't use as much sodium as most folks. And I have a little trick that I like to use is that a tapenade is typically most people will make it out of nothing but black olives. You can use regular black olives. You might add some calamatas if you have them. That's great. But I do something a little different. I actually like to add for the batch we made anyway. Depending on how big a batch, in this particular batch, I use two blue cheese stuffed green olives. Once they're ground up, you don't know any of that's there. There's Johnny. Howard, let me bring Johnny into the mix now.
I'm here.
Hey, you made it, buddy. All right.
I pulled off the road
Oh no.
and pulled into a parking lot to make the to get on the show.
Oh gosh, how you doing, man? Where you guys at?
Still probably about 15 to 20 miles away from home.
Oh, good lord, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's not an accident or anything, so that was lucky. It's just construction. It's stopped
Ah,
completely. I inched up to a highway. I saw your link. I saw the link, so I inched up to a an exit. So I took the exit, and I'm going to go the back way after I get out of here, obviously.
well, I'm going to
But
let you
I
get on home, but I want to tell you what I started with. If you haven't heard
go
it,
for it.
so what I started with was your cocktail, or the cocktail recipe you sent to me was the
Gotcha.
maple old fashioned, which I kind of turned into a maple Manhattan. I have the
Right. Yeah, I
whistle
remember that.
pig.
Yeah.
I have the whistle pig piggyback,
Nice.
and then but I bought a new bottle of this, the whistle
Ooh,
pig
not
barrel aged maple syrup. So I've
maple
got three
syrup. Yep.
ounces of this. I've got 1 ounce of this, and of course, I've used black walnut bitters to make this
Of course.
drink, and that's what I want to show you. So if you happen to get home and are able to try to come on with one cocktail, I made three. If you get a chance, come back and join me later.
I will definitely do that. I definitely wanted to get off and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. It's
No,
I've been
no, no.
literally, I've been on the road for 2.5 hours at this point.
Oh, that's insane. That's
It's
insane,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, it's
No,
insane.
but
It,
I just wanted to send you a link, so I'm going to go ahead and go live because I already had my three cocktails prepped. But hey, man,
sure,
if if you get home and have time, come back on. We can run along.
I will. I will text you as soon as I get back. If you're still on the show, I'll come right back on. If you're not, if you want to go back on, I'm fine with that too. So
Okay,
whatever you want to
awesome. Yeah, give me a holler, man. We'll do something. But don't worry.
do.
Now I was more worried about you getting home safe. Yeah.
You got it.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for popping on.
Enjoy. Thank you.
All right, so that was the one and only Jersey Johnny. Yeah, so that yeah, that's a great guy, right? Uh, pulled off just so he could, Anyways, I love that guy. Anyway, Coastal Beer Works. They hope to have their grand opening at some point this year. I'm hoping to find a way to get myself out there when that happens. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. In all honesty, it's a long shot, but I really want to be out there for that one. If there's any way I can figure it out, I will. Because Jersey Johnny's really been great to me. So I really want to be out there for his opening. I will tell you. So I mixed this well, or felt I did. I gave it a nice But as the drinks, because I had it, getting cold in the freezer for a little bit. As it settles, so that sugar, those sugars, that syrup will settle to the bottom. So I've noticed as I've gotten to the bottom here, I'm getting a lot of sweetness. Anyway, I'm going to knock this back here. I've been talking for 25 minutes. So I'm gonna get up and grab my second cocktail. I can get it, babe. Rest. I was gonna have my wife get up and get it. There's no point in her getting up. You guys know. Uh, give me a couple minutes to get to the freezer, get back. I will be right back. You sure? I want to make you get up, sugar. So I made three cocktails in three different glasses because if I had them in the same three glasses, I wouldn't know what was what. And even describing them to you, I got confused earlier. So yeah, because I kind of forgot what I put in what for a second there. But anyway, and then I remember why I did what for what. So before I got to the third, so, oh yeah, no, wait a minute. Scratch that, reverse it. I was doing a Gene Wilder there anyway. Oh, thanks, babe. That's perfect. It's very cool. My wife is my unwitting stage hand. So sometimes she's a lighting director as well. Anyways, let me show you this here and show you what I got. So again, what I did with this one, because I screwed up the description earlier, is anyway, bring it back, Tom. I've got 3 ounces of the Ben Holiday Missouri Straight Bourbon Whiskey, bottled in bond. It's at 100 proof out of Weston, Missouri. Let me show you this bottle. And then I've got probably got about a half ounce of the Mike's Hot Honey. So a little bit of sweetness going on here. And then to take it in a completely different direction, though, I also added 1 ounce of Mooney's Chocolate Cherry Whiskey at 80 proof. So I got some cherry chocolate. Sweet. Are you following where I'm going with this? No, Tom, nobody gets it but you. I don't know what the hell you're thinking. Oh, wow. That is very interesting. Yeah. So I did have a little bit of this bourbon earlier to know what it takes to neat before I did this cocktail. And I will tell you that the nose is rather sweet, but the whiskey itself really isn't. So that's why I added I thought it would handle that sweetness. And this is the first cocktail that I've tried the hot honey in. So I really wasn't sure how much I needed to get some of that sweetness as well as some of the heat. And I think if I try it again, I might add a little more. But I can taste a little bit of the sweet and the heat. And so the cherry chocolate, where does the cherry chocolate come into play? Well, I added the cherry chocolate again to try to balance the sweet and heat because that adds a little bit of sweet. The idea was kind of a, you know, chili covered cherry cordial. Hey, you never know till you try. The truth is, I think it's good, I like different. Um, and I'll probably play around with the recipe a little bit. But I want to try something different, as it is National Cocktail Day. Figured what this is the time to play around with stuff. And again, I've got, as you can see, I have this served straight up, which means I have it good and chilled, but there is no ice in the glass. Ah, mercy, mercy. That was great of Jersey Johnny to jump on. That really was nice. Like I said, he's a great guy. I haven't known him for all that long, and I've never met him in person. But he's a friend of somebody I have known a very long time on social media, the Beer Samurai. And I got to know Jersey Johnny. I don't know, a couple 3 years ago, maybe the first time I was on their show, the Lager Room guys. And since then, I've been. I think I'm tied for the most appearances by a guest. Anyways, I've been on there a lot, man. I love doing shows with those guys. And then last week I was actually, because the Beer Samurai was doing something else. I was actually the co-host of the show, and that was just a lot of fun too. Just to talk with Jersey Johnny. He's just a great guy, very knowledgeable guy, loves his beer. I'm really looking forward to Coastal Brewers actually getting a storefront. That's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to getting out there. So I don't know if I'll be able to get out there for their opening, which is the goal, but boy, I got to find a way to get out there. But again, my issue is it's too far to drive and I don't want to fly. So I've kind of got a dilemma, right? You either got to bite the bullet and take a couple extra days off to drive there, or it's not that I have a fear of flying. It's just I just don't want to. Since 2020 and everything, I don't want to have to go through all this nonsense. I don't want to, have to, get to the airport all them hours early. I don't want to go through, I don't want to, subject myself to a body cavity search from TSA. I just don't want to do stuff. The fact is, the truth is, other than going out there for that reason, there's no place that far I want to go to get on a plane for. So I may have to bite the bullet to just fly out there. But I really want to be out there for the grand opening. I really do. Because Jersey Johnny and all of them involved in that brewery have been very good to my beer whisperer character. So I do appreciate that. So this is interesting, right? So you can't taste some of that chocolate and cherry notes. I can't taste some of the honey and just a little bit of the heat. So that's the thing. I'm not sure how much more I want to add of anything for the balance. I think I probably got the balance about right because at first I thought I might need a little more sweet heat, but the more I drink this, I am finding a little bit of heat on the back end. So I think I probably got her about right for me. But for somebody else, I might have to get some other sweetener, get it just a little sweeter. It's hard to tell. And I may want to use maybe a sweeter whiskey, using like an Ezra 99, which is rather sweet, right? Is that Ezra 99? This whiskey, the Holiday, gives you the impression on the nose that it's going to be sweet, but it really isn't. It's a very well put together Belgian blonde bourbon. It's really gorgeous. But yeah, but if I want to make the sweeter without adding additional sweetness, use a sweeter bourbon. That's kind of what I'm thinking about, is using the Ezra 99. Uh, However, having said all that, that's beautiful, man. I don't care who you are. That's a tasty drink. Yeah, I wish somebody was here to taste this with me. Yeah, Tom, yeah, it really is good. Yeah. I can't give this to my wife. She'll go, are you crazy? Because I could taste things that she can't. For her, the alcohol it just burns. There's certain wines she can drink, she's able to drink, but that the whiskey nuts burn, 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 baby, burn. So Disco Inferno. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. Uh, but like I said, I already had the three cocktails made. I mean, I could have waited longer to get started, but I mean, I had the cocktails made since about 7:15. That's the way it's 8:30. So screw it. I'm going on. I just can't wait any longer. I'm going. I'm going in. I did have a nice video earlier. The official video earlier was uh, with a local singer, Christy Meredith, and that turned out very nice. I like the way that turned out. The truth is, when I do videos, well, actually with anybody, I was going to say musicians in particular, but really with anybody, you never know which direction it's going to go. And quite frankly, I let the guest determine that direction. I don't steer them in any way. Because you know, I'm not an interviewer. I'm not trying to be an interviewer. I'm trying to be somebody having a conversation with a friend. So interviewers want to steer a conversation a particular way to get the answers they're looking for. I'm not looking for any answers. I like to do these videos as if I'm at a pub or at a bar with a friend, and we're just having a conversation. So I like to let them take it that direction. If they want to talk about politics, we'll talk about politics. If they want to talk about religion, we'll talk about religion. But I'm going to let them, bring that up, and then I'll dive in. I'm not going to, I'm not doing a gotcha kind of thing. I'm not going to say, "Hey, well, what about this?" No, I'm not going to do that. That's not what this show is about. It's about just having some fun and having a conversation with a friend. They want to get serious, we'll get serious. They want to get irreverent, we'll get irreverent. We want to go off the rails, hey, let's go off the rails. I'll wreck the train with the best of them. But I can also get serious. I can also, believe it or not, I am capable of holding a serious conversation. I don't necessarily like to do it, but I'm capable of it. Anyways, I digress. The funny thing is, I hear certain folks talk about high school, right? There are certain, I'm not going to mention any names, but there are a lot of well-known pundits out there that will say things like nobody changes from high school, and I think, huh. My thought on that is, if you really think that nobody changes from high school, it tells me you haven't changed from high school, and how sad is that? The truth is, when I've reconnected through social media with all of my friends from high school, they'll all say, "Tom, we remember you as being quiet and shy. You're clearly not that now. Tom, you're a lot different than we remember you." Yeah, so I don't know. I just that's always one of those things that just kind of makes me scratch my head. Is why do you think nobody's changed from high school? The fact that you think that tells me that you haven't changed from high school, and you don't think anybody else has either. You think that's okay. The truth is, if you haven't changed from high school, you're emotionally stunted. There's no reason. There's no reason not to evolve. If you're still the same person you were in high school, there's something seriously wrong with you. Everybody should evolve. You should have changed from high school. You should not be the same person at 40 that you were at 30. You should not be the same person at 50 that you were at 40. I mean, you need to keep gathering experience. If you're my age, if you're almost 58 and still the same person you were in high school, I feel really sorry for you. I just that always makes me scratch my head. People don't change from high school. Yeah, they do, or they should. If they haven't, well, then there's something seriously fucking wrong with them. Anyways, Tom, we remember you was being quiet and shy. Yeah, I kind of was back then. Yeah, I was a very serious kid. I was, believe it or not. Yeah, I changed my ways. Yeah, I was. I mean, there were books in our school library that would not be allowed today, and that's what's sad. There were books in our school library about a lot of things, and I would check those books out and read them, not because I wanted to be that, because I wanted to learn about that, why that was. The fact that we're now banning those books, or you have certain, governors of certain states, and I don't want to mention any names, but we'll just call uh, we'll just just to throw a name out there, we'll just say Florida. You know, we, they want to ban these books, uh, mostly because they just don't understand them. The truth is, if somebody reads a book about communism, doesn't mean they want to be a communist. It means they want to understand. If somebody reads a book about Nazism, doesn't mean they want to be a Nazi. It means they want to understand where we went wrong. Right? It just doesn't make any sense. And when you start banning books about Anne Frank, I mean, really? I mean, what kind of a Nazi do you have to be to ban the Diary of Anne Frank? That's what DeSantis is doing out there. I mean, how fucking stupid are these people? Oh man. So again, I will say again, like I got it mixed up as well as it possibly could, but the sweet does tend to gravitate towards the bottom because it's a little heavier. the honey. So as I'm getting near the end of my drink, I am getting more sweet. However, here's the however, I am getting more sweet from the Mike's Hot Honey, but I'm also gathering more heat from the Mike's Hot Honey. I love this. This stuff is freaking awesome. I had a few friends recommend this to me, and I couldn't find it anywhere except that I found it at that little meat market, marked down again 25% off. So, oh man, the one thing I'm mad about now is I really like it. I really like it. Now I should have bought two bottles because I had no idea, man. It's good though. It's really good, man. I ain't kidding. Uh, I really was surprised. Right now, I got about the right amount of sweet heat. Yeah, I mentioned when I first started, maybe I want to put just a little more in. But no, I think right about a half ounce is about perfect, unless you like an incredibly sweet drink. Uh, yeah, again, that's really up to you. I do about a half ounce. Again, the only thing I would change might be the bourbon, right? If you used a sweeter bourbon like the Ezra's rather sweet. Ezra was incredibly. The first time I had Ezra, I had to go back and look at the bottle because it almost tastes like a liqueur. It's so sweet, right? So yeah, the Ezra would be perfect in this because it has you got that sweetness already. I will tell you, for me, I'm not crazy about super sweet, so this works out perfect for me. Again, if you're watching, if you got any questions or comments, put it up there. If you'd like to be part of the video, if you want to have a cocktail with me, I'll send you the link. Let me know. I'll send you the link. I got one more cocktail prepped. Hopefully, Jersey John, you'll get home, be able to come on. Or hell, we can start a new video. So the third cocktail. Again, I found this one in Joplin. I haven't seen it in Springfield. Called District Made Grain to Glass. That was a couple. There's again the couple reasons I bought it was one was the grain to glass. The other one was a DC whiskey. Huh. Hmm. I was just curious. Straight bourbon whiskey, and again, I guess the third reason would be the proof. And I liked it at the 95 proof. But it is a grain to glass whiskey, the first and finest bourbon whiskey distilled bottled in our nation's capital since Prohibition, aged at least 2 years. So I almost didn't buy it because I knew it was a young whiskey. So, at least 2 years. I like 4, but I decided to buy it anyway because it was priced pretty good. Our spirits are forged deep within our capital in the neighborhood of Ivy City. So I'm not going to tell you my working name for this cocktail, but I will give you the ingredients, and maybe you can kind of figure it out, especially if you know a little bit about politics and are around my age. Anybody younger than me isn't going to get it. But anyway, District Made a DC whiskey instead of a sweet vermouth. I'm using Keltoy, which is an Irish a winery with an Irish theme behind it. So Keltoy, Celtic goddess. So think about that. Think about what DC and Irish might have in common and what I might want to name this particular cocktail. Then again, I will tell you, you probably have to be at least my age or a little bit older to have any idea what I'm talking about. And I will give you a hint and say Speaker of the House. That should probably give it away. So anyway, uh, Irish and Speaker of the House should give away that completely. Anyway, yeah, I gotta tell you, I wasn't sure at first, but the more I drank this, the more I really liked it because I liked a little bit of sweet and a little bit of heat. Now, I will tell you, for me, I wouldn't have minded a little more heat, but trying to balance a cocktail, yeah, I think probably about a half, maybe 3/4 ounce top end for the Mike's Hot Honey. But you might want to start with a sweeter bourbon than I use. The Ben Holiday is a great bourbon, but I wouldn't want. And only reason I say this is because I don't want to add any more sugar to the cocktail. But if you start with a sweeter bourbon, yeah, it will balance itself out without adding in more sugar. And the first one that came to mind is the Ezra, the Ezra Brooks. Ezra Brooks is rather sweet. It's very. I mean, the first time I had that whiskey, I really thought it was a liqueur. It was so incredibly sweet. So yeah, I might have to try it with that one now. But anyways, I digress. I'm about ready to get to cocktail number 3. No, I'll get it, babe. You sure? All right. My wife, she's wonderful. I'll probably have to pay for it later, but I probably have to pay for it later. But anyways, I keep her fed. That's why she keeps me around. 28 years, man. We're pushing 29 now. But that was the deal we made when we got married. She drives my drunk ass around, and I feed her. I do all the meals, but she's always done all the baking. I can't bake. I don't have that kind of patience. But my wife makes the best pie crust known to man. This one I got a little more full than I intended on because that's why I used the bigger glass because I usually don't fill this one up so full, but just the way it kind of turned out. Thank you, dearest. So again, I'll give you the rundown on this particular whiskey or cocktail rather. Was I have 3 ounces of the district made. We've talked about this, right? We've got 3 ounces of the district made, grain to glass. I love grain to glass, and that was we talked about a few reasons, but that's probably the main reason was grain to glass what really sold me. So I picked it up and I put it down. I picked it up and I put it down. Uh, but ultimately I bought it because again the price wasn't bad, but I love the grain to glass. I love grain to glass. So the 95 proof whiskey. And the truth is, so I told you on the holiday that I did it first. I haven't tried this at all, so I don't know what it does by itself. I'm kind of going at the whiskey blind. I'm going at this whole cocktail blind. So here's what we did with this cocktail. We got 3 ounces of that whiskey. I have 1 ounce rather than a sweet vermouth. I'm using 1 ounce of the Keltoy Celtic Goddess, described as a dessert wine. Their description of it on their tasting sheet is a it's a port light. They don't call it a port, but a port light product. So it's 18%. So I use 3 ounces to 1 ounce, and then cherry bitters. So I'm going to give you all an idea. You want to guess my working name for this cocktail? DC, Irish, and I mentioned Speaker of the House. Oh God, that's delicious. I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more hint. I'm going to say of the hat. Anyways, if you're watching, if you have any questions or comments, please put it up there. I will answer. If you want to be part of the video, if you want to have a cocktail with me, I'll send you the link. Just let me know and I'll send you the link. So my idea for the cocktail, yeah, if you haven't figured it out by now, DC, Irish, tip of the hat. Yeah, it's Tip O'Neill. I call this the Tip O'Neill. For me, I got to be honest with you. Tip will always be the best speaker of the house. There's been some effective speakers since then, but nobody, in my opinion, nobody's ever been effective as Tip O'Neill. I love reading Tip's stories. Tip would tell stories about, how he would even, folks on the opposite side of the aisle would just bash each other's brains out, you know, you know, not actually, but just go at each other tooth and nail on the floor, and then go to the bar and have drinks together. And I feel like we've left that society, right? Um, with what we have now. You think Kevin McCarthy is having drinks with anybody else? Nah. On the opposite side of the aisle, absolutely not. I mean, he may be, playing quarters with Lauren Bobo and Marjorie Taylor Neanderthal, but but he's not tipping drinks back with the other side of the aisle. He has no reason to. He has no desire to. He's got no morals. He's got no backbone. He's got no spine. He's got no integrity. I mean, there's nothing decent about this person. The times were different back in the O'Neill days. Tip was something special. He was able to work with folks, work across the aisle. And I don't think people have that ability anymore. And what's worse than that is I don't think people want to have that ability. We've got a certain segment of society that thinks it's a weakness to compromise. Yeah, I'm trying to look something up real quick. Uh, and that's kind of the problem. That's kind of where we're at here with today's politics. Nobody wants to meet anybody in the middle. They think compromise is weakness, whereas compromise is strength. Apologizing is weakness to some, where actually, if you have the ability to apologize, that's a strength. If you can admit you're wrong when you know you're wrong, that's not a strength, that's a weakness. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Speaker Pelosi. I mean, she did a great job during her tenure. But do I think she was effective as Tip O'Neill? No, I don't. And a lot of that is because of divisiveness. It wasn't necessarily her fault, as people saw her as divisive, and they took it that way. Uh, Tip O'Neill had the ability to bring people together, and I'm not sure Nancy Pelosi had that ability. She did some great things, and I'm certainly not taking that away from her. But if you're asking me who I think the best Speaker of the House was, who the most effective Speaker of the House was, I'm going to tell you it's Tip O'Neill. No, I think Nancy Pelosi did a great job during her tenure, both times. But I think, yeah, in all honesty, I wish that second tenure, I wish it would have went to somebody else. Uh, Mostly because of it galvanized the right. If we would have put somebody else in charge, I let them forge their own path at that moment. And I wish she would have had the ability to see that. But and when I said that early on, when she became the Speaker of the House again, I mean, I lost a lot of my friends, my social media friends. I did. Oh, that's gorgeous. The Tip O'Neill, I'm calling this anyway. The Tip O'Neill. Tip, if Tip takes umbrage, or the family of Tip, I should say, takes umbrage, I will change the name. But that was part of the reason why I bought this, because I thought of the name as I was buying the whiskey. To be honest with you, when the district made in Grand Glass, I was in. And again, the price wasn't bad. The price was rather reasonable for a 95 proof. The only thing I originally put it, I picked it up and I put it down. I picked it up and I put it down twice because it said 2 years. Ah, come on! I want a longer age one. It should be 4. But then again, the the fact of the matter is that a small distillery, a young whiskey, yeah, 2 years really is good if you're using great ingredients, if you're going grain to glass. Yeah. Sometimes a 2-year whiskey is better than a 4 or 6 or even an 8-year-old whiskey if you started with better ingredients and you're aging it correctly. So, anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. So tonight was about not necessarily yeah, so when we initially put this together for cocktails, I didn't realize it was National Cocktail Day. But once I realized it was National Cocktail Day, I figured, well, now I gotta get creative, man. So I already wanted to do the use Johnny's ingredients and turn his maple old fashioned to a maple Manhattan. But the others kind of came to me on the spot, right? I said, huh, I have this here. I got this. Huh. Yeah, I wanted to go a different direction. I wanted to try this Mike's Hot Honey just to see what it would do. And I got to tell you, I had a lot of friends tell me about this stuff before I was able to buy it. And I wish I would have listened to them earlier. I wish I would have bought 2 bottles of this because it really is good stuff. I mean, I put it on everything. I do. I've been using this on all kinds of stuff. It's tasty, man. You get a little bit of sweet, a little bit of heat. I mean, the stuff is good. I haven't tried it on pizza yet because I've had friends, show it on their pizza, and I haven't done that yet. But I put it on eggs. Damn, I've tried it on eggs. I put it on a lot of stuff, man. Hoping Johnny gets home soon, man. Oh, mercy. This is good though. This this is good, man. I don't care who you are. I do need to have a little bit of this neat just to see. Yeah, because all the others I tried the products beforehand, so I have no idea what this is adding or not. That was kind of the idea of doing this particular cocktail. To be honest with you, that it was completely blind. It was I'm just completely blind. I don't know what the whiskey tastes like beforehand. But that was one of the reasons I bought it was a grain de glass. I love grain de glass. The only reason I put it down twice was the age. 2 years. Huh. But then ultimately I decided to go ahead and buy it because grain de glass, 95 proof. I love the story. I love the DC. I'm gonna try it. So the first DC whiskey I've had, I had to try it. And again, call me whatever you like. Yeah, I love the idea of grain to glass, man. I love that idea. Farm to table. I love farm to table. I love grain to glass. If you can do that, man, I'm a believer. So, anyways, anyways, I digress. Ah, oh, Eddie moved. So Eddie, our cat, Eddie's 16. Eddie really thinks he's well. I think Eddie's belief is that the world revolves around her because we're kind of our world and we do whatever she wants us to do. At this Eddie was on my wife's lap for a while. Now she's moved over here. Eddie likes to be in his chair because sometimes she's found me sitting in that chair and she gets really upset when I sit in her chair. So now if I'm over here, she likes to get in this chair to make sure I don't sit in it. Mercy, Percy. Cheese biscuits gravy. That's a good drink. That's a good drink, man. I don't care who you are. Anyways, I digress. As we wrap this cocktail night up, and if Jersey Johnny does get back, we may do another video for National Cocktail Day. If you'd like to, join us, that would be fine. If not, well, that's fine too. Anyways, I digress. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer. whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and you really think I was going to slam a cocktail, did you? He's going to pound that. No, he's not. He's not an idiot. Are you sure? As I say, sometimes I may be dumb, but I'm far from stupid. Anyway, are you sure he's not that stupid? Mercy. Well, I've never voted for Donald Trump, so clearly I'm not stupid. I mean, you got to be borderline, brain dead to vote for Donald Trump, but that's a story for another day. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, Beer Evangelist, brother beer drinker, purveyor was the man. That was got pounded again, didn't you? Not good, man. It's not a beer, man. You can't pound a drink like this. This is a serious drink. I do need to try this stuff on its own though. But the main reason I didn't do it this time is I wanted to make sure it was completely blind. I had no idea how much that whiskey was contributing to the cocktail. We'll call it the Tip O'Neill. The Tip O'Neill. Anyways, anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. One more time with feeling I am the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor wisdom, man. Yeah, that was a good drink. That really is. And you taste this whiskey on its own to see what it imparts because I'm getting some nice spicy notes, a little bit of sweetness up front that I know is not from the other ingredients. So I'm trying to pull it apart, right? All right, good guys, lunch.